thank you for all your patience, especially in the last few days since 5 o'clock. This is the 16th edition of TiE Chandigarh's Guru Talk series. Every month we do this mentoring session. It's a closed group capsule session full of interaction. And we are very thankful for Sachin. He's made it out of a very busy schedule. He's been traveling in the last couple of months quite hectically, if I'm not wrong. And thank you, Sachin.
Which included a vacation also.
Yeah. Okay, well, that is also required. Thank you so much. I, on behalf of TiE Chandigarh, Sameer Walia, welcome you all for this edition. And we have some questions which were already tweeted and mailed to us from other members, and I think they might also be in your minds, and you are also free to ask them questions. So he believes in having an interactive session where we can straight on get on the point to talk how leadership is important in startups and how one can start as a good leader. But if we can first have 10 minutes from you where you want to talk about your journey, and then we can take up the questions.
Okay, so let me share my life so far for whatever it's worth. Come from a professional family and did my engineering from IIT Delhi, came to Ahmedabad, took up a job at Hindustan Lever. So pretty standard for middle class, upper middle class dreams. So that's the kind of stuff I did. My father was the railways. When I was in Levers, I got engaged to the woman who became my wife, and she happened to be the only child of Mr. S.P. Oswal, the chairman of Vardhaman. And so after about a year of working in Levers, I quit Levers to get married and then came to Vardhaman. So that's how I jumped from management trainee to executive director of the company. So I think pretty fast career growth. So somebody asked me once, what's the secret of your success? I said, I married right. So one thing I was very clear is that Vardhaman being a large company, I will not join in the corporate office. I want to work in the periphery somewhere. Anyway, on the periphery. So anyway, I joined the corporate office for 2 months to understand the group. It was agreed that I will join the periphery. So there was a new factory coming up in Baddi, in Himachal, place called Baddi. We were putting up a new spinning mill. So I ended up living in Chandigarh. Starting out in Chandigarh, and we stayed here for 17 years. So Baddi, I had never heard this place, Baddi. And at that time, you had to cross at least 2 rivers by road before you could reach the place. Can you imagine a big, wide river, especially the monsoons, and you're traveling in your car through that, and that's how we used to reach Baddi. Once I remember the water was so fast, you couldn't even cross it. So you waited there till the water subsided and you could cross. There was no STD then. So once you were in Baddi, you were cut off from the rest of the world. And I'm not talking about the 18th century, I'm talking about 1991. So that's when my journey of a different kind of management style began. And this journey is of sharing, because in a sense it was a new organization, though it was part of a much larger established group. So we had a totally new team, we had 40 people when I joined. Construction was on in the first factory. I had no clue of what spinning was, no clue of project management. I was all of ripe old age, 24 and a half, just married, so issues of coming home on time, etc. also were there, and new factory, new project without understanding all that. One or two things I did differently out there was, I had a meeting with my team then as to, and all my subordinates were much older than me. Now at least my subordinates, when I talk to them, most of them are younger than me or my age. But at that time, everybody was older than me. And older by at least 10 years, 15 years. My direct reports were all 10 to 15 years older. That's when I remember one meeting I had talking to them, I mean, all of us work. But do we just want to work, or do we want to do something special? And this idea gradually got into my mind. So first with my immediate reportees, talking to them about building an ideal organization. I said, each one of you have worked somewhere else, either in Vardhaman or outside Vardhaman. Wherever you work, you've always had some assumptions of what an ideal organization should be. I said, let's make that ideal organization that each of us have dreamt about. Those were the seeds I planted into the mind of others. And then I remember one more speech I had with the entire staff. We didn't even have an office there, but wherever hall that we had, somebody was standing, some people were sitting and all, and I gave my first really major speech. And talking to them again, asking them a basic question, why do you work? People answered, of course, to earn money, support the family. You're right. Career growth. And the answers gradually stopped. And then I provoked them further to get them into getting into the real reasons of work. Respect, self-fulfillment, a feeling that you've done something meaningful in your life, connected to something meaningful. I was still pretty young then, but I always believed that work can be a means to something far more fulfilling. I said, otherwise you work, come in the morning, get a salary, go back in the evening. Is that what you want to do with your life? I was very clear that's not what I want to do with my life. You come in the morning, work. And which is why you see most people in organizations are listless. Look at Saturday, weekend happens, and what happens to people? Energy levels go up. That's why they talk about Monday morning blues. I said, that's not the kind of life I want to live. When I want to come to work, I want to feel energetic from morning till evening. And the only way to become energetic then, that I thought, is if you are connected to something meaningful. Something that you care for. So first, we ignited in the people the desire that work can be something far more. Then the question is what? And then I gave them the slogan, which for me was the right slogan. And I said, it depends on you whether you want to adopt that or not. And the slogan I gave was to really build up India's reputation on the world. To put India up there along with the West. So to connect people to a much higher cause. And how do we do that? If you recall then, 20 years ago, 22 years ago, some of you were very young then, but or the others, India's reputation in the world, was it any good? It was pathetic. And that's when we said, if we produce absolute world-class textiles, which can compete with the best in the world from any other country, then we are able to make a statement that India can produce world-class yarns. The same statement can be true in any industry. All of you would be from different industries. So in your industry, in your area, in your department, wherever this thing can be applicable. If you are making rubber, so can we make the best rubber in the world? If you are making paper, can we make paper equivalent to the best in the world? If you are having IT, can we produce IT solutions equivalent to the best in the world? In a small organization, so what? And that's when I gave them the slogan, we want to be the best spinning mill in the country. No, we had not yet started. We were still in construction phase. And this was the slogan I gave, that we want to be the best spinning mill in the country. How would we measure it? I had no idea. How would we know whether we become the best? No idea. But from inside of me, I felt the need that we want to be the best. and we want to contribute to the national effort. We want to contribute in nation building. You are just a spinning mill, but through a spinning mill to contribute to building national character and thereby nation building. Now imagine if you are an employee in such an organization, and if these are the words coming to you, would it make a difference to you? Rather than you work hard so that I make more money. Right? If you are an employee. How many of you are employees out there and how many of you are entrepreneurs? Entrepreneurs. Okay. Entrepreneurs. Any of you who are entrepreneurs, have you worked as an employee before? Okay. Do you see the difference between an employee and entrepreneur now? Why should there be a difference? So that's the point. I had also come from the world of being an employee through the world of management, so I could relate very well as an employee how I felt, how would I like to be treated, and that's exactly the way I treat my subordinates. So that's how we started. And then we took a decision then that we will start this factory with absolutely fresh workers. Not a single trained worker. People told me you're being foolish. My well-wishers told me you're making biggest blunder of your life. Don't do this. Because spinning mill cannot be started, cannot be run by fresh workers. You need skilled workers. And I was very clear, not a single skilled worker, even from our group. Because I believe then, and I believe now the same, that Indian workers are bad. At the same time, I believe Indian workers can be fantastic. So, big difference. Indian workers are bad, but Indian workers can be fantastic. So why are Indian workers bad? Because Indian managers are bad. So Indian managers treat workers in a wrong way and they become bad, and what becomes bad cannot then be corrected, and I don't have the wherewithal to correct somebody who's become bad. So I will take only fresh people and train them to be good workers. Again, sometimes you say when you're young you can be foolish. So these were the foolish thoughts of a very young, I was 25 by then. Those were my thoughts at that point in time. And the factory started, and sure enough there was a disaster. Every month I would get a very polite stinker from corporate office, being the ED of the company, being the chairman's son-in-law, etc. So, people couldn't really say, what the hell are you doing? So they said, sir, your productivities are still low, your all the measurable parameters were way off. So 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, it went on. So March we had commissioned our plant. By August, we were still getting the stinkers. September, I gave up. I admitted defeat. I said I made a big mistake. One of my qualities is, if I made a mistake, I can acknowledge I made a mistake. Okay, let's retrace, let's get back. So I went to Acharya. I said I made a mistake. I need skilled workers. He said, you tried so hard, why don't you try for 1 month more? And after 1 month, we gave you. Now something happened in that 1 month. I guess, as I said, it's darkest before dawn. So I had lost my hope when just about things were turning around. And that's when things turned, and that factory has never looked back since then. After that, every month we went into a major improvement process, and then that factory started breaking all records, any record of the group of productivity, any measurable performance. This factory was the first to break all records. Any new concept they found anywhere in the world, and it was decided it has to be implemented, this was the first factory to adopt it. For 5 years, the standard bad practices of textile industry kirchi, lapeta and stuff like that. These are all typical terms where your cotton gets wrapped around the rubber parts, and to remove that, normally people take a blade and slash it off, and you damage the rubber also. Our people didn't know. So they would remove with their thumb, that thing, take extra time. But I'm just saying that these kind of practices which are prevalent across industry were absent from our factory. And I personally used to meet all these workers constantly. So each worker would walk into my office. I'm talking about textile industry, which is the absolute back or beyond, second oldest industry, so absolutely traditional. But in that industry, any worker would come and meet my office. And in that industry, go back 20 years, I'm not ED, I'm Malik. Everyone thinks Malik. I have to say Malik nahi, I'm executive director. Haan sir, Malik. So, but any worker could come into my office. And I made some rules also. I said no person will ill-treat a worker. Please go back 20-25 years ago where hitting a worker was considered normal. I said if any officer slaps a worker, he loses his job. Finished. No question. And I've sacked 2 people. So those are the kind of things, and people used to come to me, how can you, get discipline if you can't take disciplinary action? I said, where have I said not to take disciplinary action? Take disciplinary action the way it should be taken. But you can't take law in your own hands. Another famous quote I had is, if a worker catches your collar, I would dismiss you as an officer. The worker ने मेरा collar पकड़ा and I will lose my job. I said, भैया worker ने collar पकड़ा है तुम्हारा तो कुछ ना कुछ तो खुराफात की होगी तुमने. Because for a worker to take that kind of step, he should have been provoked beyond a point. Getting people to start thinking along these lines. One more interesting thing, and then I'll fast forward. But I'm just giving you all these things because this is the build-up of culture. And in my opinion, culture is the most important thing. And if a young entrepreneur or an older entrepreneur, if you are setting up the right culture in the organization, you can get fantastic and superior performance. So we started getting feedback from our corporate office. Not me. People started saying that I got feedback from a corporate HR that people felt I was too nice. And therefore, my ability to run a textile mill was low. I'm too nice. So that is the feedback corporate HR gave me. I said, okay, I'll be a quick learner. I turned nasty. For a young 25-year-old with full power, and here people are saying treat us badly. So I became really nasty. For I think a month and a half or 2, I gave people hell. I started shouting at left and right people. I've thrown paper at people's faces. I shouted at what nonsense and abused, not abused, but literally insulted them in front of other people. Got a couple of people to start crying, almost crying. I've been a vicious ragger in my second year. So, I ragged like crazy. I was called the toughest ragger of my batch. I was ragged the most also. So I happily took it. And I was also a great ragger. So for me to treat people like shit was very easy. After about a month and a half, I called my team. I said, so I said, the point is you are nice does not mean you're weak. In the north, normally, they mistake the 2 things. The nice means you're weak. So those are the things which set the trend for the culture. And as we moved on, to just give you an idea what best means, that particular spinning mill, 3 years in a row has got first prize in a national level Kaizen competition organized by CII, where you are competing with the Mahindras, Tatas, Bajaj. You're competing with these kind of companies, the only textile company to participate. And our workers went there, and when they went there for the first time, they were, little jittery to participate. So this happened 3 years ago. They participated and got first prize. And the judges there said, normally they say the first, second, third, close competition. This is clear first. Between second, third, fourth, there was close competition. So it happened once. All thrilled. Last year, again they participated. Again they got first prize. And there are two competitions, both national level. One happens in Pune, and then one happens in Chennai. So both Pune they got first, then Chennai they got first. Second time Pune first and then Chennai first. Third time was this year. Again Pune they got first prize. Chennai will happen. That's too much to expect. They'll continue to do that. But I'm just saying